What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another preview stream as we build up for the Champions League game, our fourth Champions League game against Eintracht Frankfurt. Obviously, the return game from when we drew 0-0 there. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? I can't even remember. Last week, yeah. It's all a haze for me what happened last week. But now it's a big game. It really is a big game. We need to win tomorrow. We really do. And if we do win tomorrow, it puts us in really good stead in this group. You've got to say that if we win these two home games coming up, you should assume that we'll get through this group, won't you?
We're on 4 points. If we get another 6, 10 points usually is enough. The only thing is with this group right now, it's very, very close. Sporting is on 6. We're us and Frankfurt on 4, and then Lisbon on 3. So, and then Marseille on 3 at the bottom. So it's really, really tight. And we could even be top of the group if we beat Frankfurt and Marseille get a result against Lisbon. We could even be top come tomorrow. But I think 2 wins should be enough. You might need a draw on the last day to guarantee top spot. But I think the 2 home games should see us through. It's going to be really difficult, though, if we don't win this game. Regardless of what the result is in the other game, if we don't beat Frankfurt, especially if we lose, it puts us in a very precarious position in the group, and it leaves our position pretty much on a knife edge if we don't get the win, even though we will still have chances to recover if we do lose. It doesn't leave us in a very good position. So it's vital that we get the job done tomorrow. And if we get all 3 points, then all of a sudden things are looking up.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have a bit of team news as well. It seems as though we are going into this with a clean bill of health. The training footage will be with you very soon, but Kulusevski is back in full training. Lucas Moura is back in full training. So we do have a clean bill of health going into this very busy stage of the season. But looking closely at Frankfurt, they are 8th in their league at the moment. Top goal scorer is Kamado, who's a very, very tricky customer, plays in the cam position most of the time. Muani, their new signing, is their top assister with 5 assists this season so far. And you got to say, they've been having a fairly good season. I mean, they had a poor start, then they turned it around to being one of the form teams in the Bundesliga. Against us, I was expecting much more from them, to be honest, at home. I thought they were pretty poor against us last week, and then they followed that up with a 3-0 defeat to Bochum in the Bundesliga. So a very Jekyll and Hyde team this season is Frankfurt, which you've got to assume, I mean, they are kind of like that for the majority of the season. I know they got to Europa League final last year, but in terms of their league form, they were pretty much of the similar ilk last year. But what kind of threats are you expecting from Frankfurt?
I think, especially with the way we play, I think they're going to be very, very difficult to break down with their 3 at the back. They play very wide. They did it the same in the away leg, but we were obviously able to control that, and we were the ones creating the chances, albeit we didn't really make most of them. They didn't really threaten us, but I think we know on the counter-attack they can be really good out wide. Lindstrom, the attacking midfielders, also can be very tricky customer. Kamada, we all know about. He's very... He can play in between the lines, and he can hurt you, especially with his dribbling ability and his passing ability. So they definitely have players who you've got to be wary of, when they get the chance to have the ball. But I think now we have a clean bill of health. That'll be a major boost going into this game, not maybe heavily relying on certain players and maybe burning them out. And now we can maybe rotate a bit more. That's a massive positive. They're a good team. They've shown that. They're a bit hit and miss, but they've shown, especially in European competition, they can be a massive threat. Even last season, even this season, when they, even though we got the draw there, and they won against Lisbon, I think it was it Lisbon 3-0, away from home. So they've proven that they can be very, very difficult. And I think it suits them a bit more.
They lost to Lisbon 3-0.
So they lost to Lisbon. Sorry, they beat Marseille.
Yeah.
But I think they beat the Marseille away.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think it suits them a bit more to play away from home, I think, because of how they're defensively set up. I think they prefer teams to come onto them a bit and they can play in the space, whereas at home the onus is on them to go forward a bit more.
Yeah, it's interesting because against Marseille they did play that 3 at the back system, that 3-4-3 system, but then against Sporting, when they actually got their arses served to them on a plate at home, they played 4 at the back, and they played 4 at the back last weekend when they lost 3-0 to Bochum. So there is a bit of a pattern emerging there where they do play 3 at the back. If you bring up the predicted lineup for Frankfurt, this is actually the lineup they played. Well, it's not the lineup they played, but it's the system that they played against us last week, with Mario Götze back in the side. I mean, he's kind of like had a breath of fresh air in his career again, because it all went wrong with the injury problems that he was having and stuff like that. But he's had a really good start to the season. He's one that we need to watch out for. Yeah,
we all know clearly when he's fully fit, he was one of the best players in Europe. Won Germany the World Cup, and he was amazing. It's been a long time since he hit those heights, a very long time. No getting away from that. So I wouldn't expect him to get anywhere near that again. I think it's been way too long since he ever was playing at his best. But I'm happy for him that he's having maybe a mini renaissance this season with Frankfurt, because he's such a good player, and I like to see good players playing well. And it's such a shame that his career has been blighted by so many injury problems. So it's fantastic to see him playing somewhat near to his best. But I don't believe he's anywhere near what he used to be, in my opinion, still, even now. But of course, you catch him on a good day, and he can really hurt you if you're not paying special attention. So for sure, he's definitely one to watch out for. I mean, it's Mario Götze.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And when you're looking at Spurs coming into this one, I think we played fairly well out in Germany. I think we were the better team. We should have taken all 3 points in that game. But how do you think this game will differ from that game out in Frankfurt?
I think we're going to have, the onus is going to be obviously more on us. We're going to have even more of the possession than we did in Frankfurt. I think I think the energy will be higher. Playing at home in front of the home crowd. I think that we're going to be more aggressive, and I think we're going to push higher up the pitch. I expect us to stick with the 3-4-3, especially now Kulusevski and Lucas are back.
Do you think Kulusevski comes straight back in, or maybe just weed him in, because we don't want to risk him of injury again?
Yeah, I don't know if he comes straight into the team, but he definitely comes into the squad and onto the bench. So even if he only plays half an hour, I still think he's worth having around. So I think that definitely, the fact that he's there gives us more options to play with in the forward line. That's why I would stick with the 3-4-3. I think the 3-4-3 as well worked fairly well last week, despite the fact that our forward players could have done a lot better in the attacking situations. I think hopefully the confidence of the home crowd, backing them up, hopefully it will give them more energy. Hopefully the heightened sense of importance, knowing that a 0-0 draw last week was a good result, but a 0-0 draw today is not a good result. So hopefully that will be in the players' minds when we're playing the game. And I think it will be a bit of a different game because we're at home, and I think we're much better at home than we are away from home. I think we've shown that throughout the season, and I think we're more on the front foot. We get forward a lot more. We press a lot more. So I'm looking forward. And it's our first home game since Leicester, but I think we've had like 4 out of our last 5 games away. So it's nice to get back on home turf, back to N17, and I think that will put them under a lot of pressure, which I felt like away. We did well to create chances, but I didn't feel like we were putting them under constant pressure, whereas I feel like in this game, that's what we're going to aim to do.
And actually, our next 4 out of our next 5 games are all at home, so we got to go on a good run now, that's for sure. And Conte has called on the Spurs fans to create a really good atmosphere. And, you know, as much as Frankfurt didn't play too well, you saw how the fans can impact the game out in Frankfurt, where I thought if the crowd weren't really on top of us, I think maybe, you know, we could have won that game even more. You know, probably would have taken that game, but the fans really do make an impact. Conte's called on the Spurs fans not just to be the 12th man, but to be the 13th man as well, and really act as 2 men and drive this team through the finish line. And I don't even think we should need that, but it's just, we should be doing that every game, to be honest. And the lane sometimes isn't as loud as it probably should be. But let's be honest, let's listen to Conte. Let's back him. Let's sing up for the boys tomorrow. Let's go there with some good atmosphere and let's drive the team on past the finish line. When you're looking at Spurs, what's your score prediction going to be tomorrow?
Score prediction, I think we'll keep a clean sheet. I think that we have, and especially now we've got a full clean bill of health. Hopefully we're looking for a fresh performance, full of energy. And I'm going to go for 2-0.
2-0. I want to see a much better performance from Richarlison tomorrow, because I assume if we do play the 3-4-3, he's going to be the one starting tomorrow. We saw what he was like in our last Champions League home game against Marseille, grabbing us that win with those 2 brilliant headers. I want to see him grab that game by the scruff of the neck tomorrow and really go for their throats and get a goal or 2, because we know he's got it in him, but I think the last few games when he has played, he's kind of flattered to deceive a little bit. So I'd like to see him take, authority, which we know he can.
Do you think it would be rushing Kulusevski back if we were to start him tomorrow?
I do, yeah, I do, because
it's been 2 weeks.
It has been 2 weeks, but he had a hamstring injury. We thought he could have been out longer than he was. With so many games coming up, with 2 games a week, every 3-4 days we've got a game now, there's no need to rush him back. There really isn't. So in this Frankfurt game, when we've got Kulusevski there, when we've got the option of 3-5-2 as well, I just don't think there's a need to rush him back if there's going to be any chance of him aggravating that injury.
Maybe if he's fully fit and he's back in training, maybe it suggests he's ready.
Yeah, but we don't know. We don't know the ins and outs. Maybe he is in training right now, but we don't know if he's like fully in training in every single bit of the training session. And if there's just even that 1% chance of him reoccurring that injury or like aggravating that injury, I would like to see him not start and maybe just play in the next game. What would your thoughts be on it?
Yeah, I agree, but I would think that if he does start, I would suggest that there's probably not a chance. Obviously, as always, any player can pick up an injury at any time. But if Conte does start him, that'll suggest that he's 100% fit. I don't think Conte would start him if he wasn't 100% fit.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So, obviously, if he has been out for 2 weeks, and hamstrings can be quite volatile when you've pulled them, and you don't want to aggravate that injury, because if a pull turns into a tear, then you're in big trouble. But for me, if he's back in training now, that suggests that he's recovered from the injury. So I think I wouldn't be surprised maybe if he is in the lineup tomorrow from that point of view, especially with Richarlison not quite performing so well at the moment, and especially with Kulusevski operating on that right-hand side, which Richarlison doesn't seem to be quite... Like, I think he's done okay in that role, but it's his least favourite role. So if we're going to play a 3-4-3, I think he's going to try his hardest to get Kulusevski back in that lineup, I reckon, on the right-hand side. Yeah,
but it all depends if he's ready or not. That's what it boils down to. I mean, if he's 100% fit, obviously it's a no-brainer. I'd want him to play. But I don't know, because he's just the injury's so fresh and he's been out for the last 2 weeks. I don't know. I see it just being a little bit of a risk, but who knows? I'm not the medical team. I'm not Antonio Conte. I'm not in there day in, day out with them seeing the progress. So I'll leave it up to them to make that decision. But I just see it as a little bit of a risk playing him tomorrow. But we'll see what happens. I'd like to see him maybe come on for the last 20 minutes and get a bit of match fitness there. But we'll see what happens. But look, obviously, I'd love to see him play.
It's going to be interesting to see if he makes any kind of rotations. Obviously, I've said already, I expect him to go back with the 3-4-3 compared to the 3-5-2 that he played on the weekend, just because of how Frankfurt play. It'll be interesting to see if he does go with the 3-4-3.
I think he will.
Does he stick with? Is it just going to be the same players that they played on the weekend? Like, is Romero 100% going to play? Is it going to be Longley or Davis? Is it going to be Højbjerg and Bentancur? Because the games are coming thick and fast, and if he does rotate, is he going to be in the Premier League? Maybe on the weekend against Everton.
I think Perisic will come back in at left wing back. I think Emerson will probably come back in at right wing back. I even got a feeling Longley will come in at left centre back. So I think there will be a few changes. I think it will be very similar to the team that we did play against Marseille in the first Champions League game here. I think it'll be very similar to that team. Richarlison played that game. Kane, Son, Perisic, Emerson, and Romero, Dyer, Longley. I got a feeling it's going to be something like that.
And I actually think as well, it's underrated how much of a boost it is as well having Lucas back as well, because as much as we, the problems that he's had recently in performance-wise level, we just need the options, and without him, clearly he doesn't really want to play Gil that much in the forward line. But Lucas just adds another option and adds energy off the bench if we need it. And him being back in the fold just gives us more options if we want to change things up. Even a right wing back maybe can play there as well. So without him, all of a sudden it's like we can make one change up top and that's it.
And this is why we want another attacking option in the summer.
Yeah, we wanted one. Yeah, exactly. And now we should have got Cody Gakpo looking at things right now. He's smashing out.
He really is, yeah.
But I think it's good. Really,
he nearly signed for Leeds or something. Can you imagine?
Leeds, and yeah, would have been a brilliant signing. But it's really good having Lucas back in the fold now, because the more options, the better. And I feel like Gil, I barely even count him as an option, because Conte, like, even when we have no one, he'd rather not play him.
Came on in Frankfurt, didn't he? But he was just so weak.
Yeah,
so weak.
Conte doesn't trust him. I know he
says he does.
I know he said he does, but it doesn't look like to me that he does. But Lucas can be a good option off the bench as well. And then all of a sudden, that's 5 attackers we get to choose from instead of 3. So very, very positive from that. And now
Lucas is always going to be a backup at best, isn't he? I mean, he's not good enough to start for us anymore, is he?
No, but that's not the point. The point is we have options. That's what we need. And instead of we looking at our bench and our only attacking option is one player, now all of a sudden we have a lot more than that. And that's very positive.
But going into the final 10 minutes of this game, final 15 minutes of this game, and we're struggling for a goal, we're not seeming to create much. Are you going to bring on Lucas Moura? Or would you prefer to stick with maybe a Richarlison, Kane and Son up top?
I think you would bring on Lucas if someone's tired or it's not working, or you can play a wing back and to really force the issue. So I think for sure he's an option to come on. 100%, and hopefully he hasn't had the best of season so far, but hopefully he can start. Look, and he's pretty good in the Champions League. We know that he's usually a lot better in Europe than he is in the league. So
it's been a long time.
Has been a while, but hopefully he can get back to that. And he still has something to offer. He's not completely useless. He's not the player we all hoped he would be, but he's still got his qualities. He's still got brilliant dribbling ability and speed. So on the off the bench, he can definitely be another asset for us.
We haven't seen him have a good run of form since the early stages of last season, really. I mean, when's the last time he's had a good run of games with a good run of form? I mean, I know he's been out of the team pretty much since Kulusevski's come in, but even before Kulusevski came in, he was probably one of our better players, but it's still miles and miles away to what we've seen from any other forward players.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying he's another option. That's it's better to have him available than not. And at the moment, he's not been available at all. And we've struggled maybe for having options in the forward line, especially off the bench. And now we have that option again of having another pacey forward off the bench, and that can make a big difference, especially with 5 substitutes. So for me, it's very positive.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But in terms of my score prediction, I'm also going to go 2-0 tomorrow. I think that when I'm looking at the game last week at Frankfurt, it was a difficult game, but I think we should have come away with the 3 points. I think we were the better team. And I think we'll finish the job tomorrow night at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which will leave us in very good stead in the group. I'm going to go for Richarlison to get on the score sheet again, and hopefully Heung-min Son as well.
What's the best result for us in the other game, Marseille? Lisbon a draw.
If Marseille win, we go top with the win.
If it's a draw, then we're still second on head-to-head.
If we
win,
I think if it's
we're 2 points behind.
I'd probably want Marseille to win, and then we go play Sporting next week or in a couple of weeks' time. So if we win these next 2 games, this game tomorrow night should be irrelevant.
But in a weird way, if Marseille win, it makes us in more jeopardy of qualifying. But if Lisbon win, then it makes us less likely to finish first.
I might actually favour the draw, because if you favour the draw, and we've got Sporting to come at home in a couple of weeks' time, so if we beat them, then that will work really in our favour. Really would work in our favour.
Because if Marseille win that game, all of a sudden we could go into that last game with a chance of not qualifying, because there'll be 3 teams on very similar points.
Yeah, we don't want to be going to Marseille away needing a win to qualify, or needing a win to, you know what I mean?
You're probably needing a draw, I would say. But
yeah.
Especially if they need to win to qualify, in that atmosphere, you don't want that to be the case.
We need to make it a situation where we can qualify in the second last game against Sporting at home. That's what the situation needs to be, because you don't want to go to Marseille in that intense atmosphere with our away European. I know they're going to have half a stadium closed. It's not going to be as intense as it usually is, but still going away to Marseille with our European record away from home, you don't really want to rely on that.
No, and it's underappreciated how tight this group is. It's one of the tightest, if not the tightest groups right now.
It is the tightest group, yeah.
In the whole of the Champions League. So every point and every result matters right now. So we just got to make sure that we get our home games. If we can just get 2 wins, that's absolutely massive in the context of how tight this group is, and that would really make sure that we're not in any jeopardy going to last group game of the season. So it's super tight, this group. Anyone could qualify. It's completely open. It's wide open right now. We just got to make sure that one of the spots in the top 2 is sealed off, and by winning those 2 games, that's what we do.
All right, let's move on to Betmate. Obviously, Betmate's a really fun to play fantasy gaming app where you can win money. There's a £500 guaranteed pot this week for the Champions League, Wednesday for the late kickoffs. So you can pick 2 players maximum from any team playing on Wednesday night. And me and Sim have picked our teams. It is £5 entry, and you can win up to £500, which is the pot this week. My team, I've got Manuel Neuer in goal. They're away to Plzen, so I'm expecting them to keep a clean sheet. So I've gone for him in goal. In defence, I've gone for Hernandez of Bayern Munich, who's been on sensational form this year with assists, and also I expect him to keep a clean sheet, so I think he can get a good number of points. I've got Ivan Perisic at the back as captain. I expect him to get on the assist sheet tomorrow, and as well, he could also very well keep a clean sheet. In the midfield, I've gone for Thiago of Liverpool against Rangers at Ibrox. I imagine he's going to be very busy in that game with a lot of interceptions and tackles. I think it's going to be a very, very busy day for him. Alongside him, I've got Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. We all know what he brings, the hustle and bustle of the midfield. And then up front, I've actually gone for one outside the box in Trincão for Sporting Lisbon. And the reason I've gone for Trincão is because so far in the Champions League, he's been on really good form. He's got a goal or an assist in each of the games so far. And at home against Marseille, I expect that to carry on. And then next to him, I've gone for Robert Lewandowski, who play Inter Milan, Barcelona. So that's my team.
And I've gone for Costa in goal, the Porto goalkeeper. I think they beat Leverkusen last week, and I think they got a good chance of beating them again. So I've gone for him in goal. I've got Alphonso Davies and Ivan Perisic at the back. Hopefully Davies starts. Obviously Perisic speaks for himself. In midfield, I've got for Kessie and Barella, but apparently Kessie's injured, so I might have to change that. That'll be in the works. But I've gone for Kessie and Barella. And up front, I've gone for Sadio Mane at home to Victoria Pilsen and Harry Kane. And obviously, Mane is in good form for Munich, and they've got a very good fixture. So I've gone for him, and Harry Kane hopefully carries on his good form in the Champions League. He hasn't got a Champions League goal yet this season, so he's due one.
Yeah, he really is due one. Someone in the comments saying Davis is injured, but I haven't seen anything about that. But anyway, that is your Betmate. Come and join us. Come and take us on. If you want a free £5 to play for new users, do use the code WATTV5 for your free £5. The link is in the description below if you want to join the app as well. Download the app. But like I said before, it's absolutely, I've been enjoying this so much. We've won quite a bit of money doing it as well. So come and join us and come and take us on and see if you can beat us. But that is your match preview for the big game tomorrow night at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. 8 p.m. kickoff against Eintracht Frankfurt in our 4th Champions League group stage game. We've got a super chat to get through from Matt Card, member for 14 months, a members chat, and he said, big up lads, hope we smash Frankfurt tomorrow. Me and you both, my friend, me and you both. But it's time to take some callers.
Before we
right?
get into some callers, should we talk about Troy Parrott?
Yeah, it's a big
Very
shame.
sad news.
Big
Very
shame.
sad news coming out of Preston.
Yeah, he's picked up an injury and he'll be out till after the World Cup, which is actually not that many games because there's only about 5 games now until the World Cup. Luckily that there is a break because he'll be missing a lot more football if there wasn't a break, to be honest. But hopefully he can come back after the World Cup and be fit and firing and get some goals because he just scored his first goal in the Championship, didn't he?
Yeah, and he actually got injured scoring the goal.
Oh, he got injured scoring the goal, did he?
If you see in the replay, he scores the goal and then he's like down on the ground, and I think he had to go off. So really frustrating for him, just as he maybe start to get going again after he's had a bit of a mixed time at Preston. But the funny thing is, they said if Parrott scored 100% of Preston's goals this season, he would have got 4 goals.
Yeah.
So it's not very easy conditions, but from what I saw at the beginning of the season, he was playing really well, like even without scoring. But unfortunately, they couldn't get their goal scoring boots on, and he finally gets a goal and then gets injured. So it must be very frustrating for him, and it's not great news that he's got that bad injury.
Oh, I think they're saying in the comments, Alphonso Davies is injured.
Yeah,
not Ben Davies.
So I have to change that then.
And they're also saying other stuff that Neuer and Hernandez are out as well, but we'll see about that. But anyway, let's bring on our first guest of the day, and it's KPV.
Hello, boys.
You all right, KPV? How you feeling about the game tomorrow?
How am I feeling ahead of the game?
Yeah.
Well, I'm feeling more confident than I was last week in Germany. Like, a good point, I'll take a point, but Son said the players were disappointed. Like, we get the win. But, yeah, like, I'm excited because I'm going to see you two again, as I did last year. And
absolutely.
Yeah, I sent you the picture in a group chat, Ben.
Which group chat?
On the group chat on Instagram, mate.
Oh, right.
Yeah, great picture.
Yeah, because I watched your match day vlog against Brentford, and I'm in the video, and I just watched it. Yeah, so another match day vlog to be involved in tomorrow, and I'm excited. So, but as I just put in a speech bubble, 5-0, Son all 5, because Son's due.
5.
Yeah, like, who's not scored 5 goals for Tottenham since the man himself, Jermaine Defoe? He was the last one to score 5, so he's due to score 5. So Ronaldo, because he only scores weldies or bangers. So
Harry Kane hasn't scored in the Champions League yet. You don't think he's going to get on the score sheet?
I think he will, but we haven't seen him score a Champions League goal since 2019, and that was against Olympiacos. So Son hasn't scored one since then. But those two will definitely go on a score sheet. But I just want to wish Mwepu speedy recovery, because I'm sad to hear the news he was forced to retire due to a heart condition.
Yeah,
absolutely. Everyone, very, very sad.
Get your support in for Mwepu, because he was brilliant for Brighton last season against Arsenal and against us as well. Fortunately, we lost, but he should have been sent off, though. He saw he did to our players, but he was brilliant. And can you all please give Kane a round of applause for the document, for what he's just done, the Harry Kane Foundation? Yay! And he told the kids a bedtime story on CB, bitch.
Did you listen to the bedtime story last night, Carl?
Yeah, of course I did. I saw it. I listened to it, and
was it good? Did it send you to sleep?
He doesn't send me to sleep, fella. Let's be honest. I go when I feel like it. I'm excited for the game. Like, I expect another clean sheet. Like, that's 5 we've kept so far. So can we make it 6?
Absolutely. Why not? Why not?
Why not 6, man? I want 6 clean sheets. Like, Frankfurt, they didn't play that well last week, but they are a good team, let's be honest. But they're not going to beat us, because we've only got one more home game after this. That's Sporting. And Like, I just hope Marseille can do us a favour tomorrow. Then we go to them, I think, before the Sporting game, or is it afterwards?
We got Sporting, then Marseille. Marseille's our last game, yeah.
So, in France, like, we've won in France before, haven't we?
We have, but we haven't won away in Europe in a while since we beat Wolfsberger.
Wolfsberger. The Wolfsburgers, eh?
Yeah,
That's who
exactly.
they are. Burgers. Good name. Frankfurt, I call them the Frankfurters. That's their name because that's what they are, the Frankfurters. So, yeah, excited for the game. Another clean sheet, please. And I just want Perisic to go on the score sheet because he hasn't scored in a while. So, and Dyer on the score sheet. Why
May as well
not?
put the whole team in the score sheet.
Might as well put the whole team on the score sheet. Lloris, I'd love Lloris to score, but I don't think he's not scored a goal. I know Paul Robertson has. So that was against Watford. Surely he meant it, right?
Of course he meant it. Of course he meant it. But Carl,
Yo,
we'll see you tomorrow at the game. Thank you so much for calling in today, and we'll speak to you later.
all right, mate. And as always, Levy out.
See you
Who
later,
let
Carl.
the dogs out?
The man, the myth, the legend, that is KPV. But let's keep moving on. And who have we got on next? We go to Mikey. How you doing, Mikey?
Hey guys.
Long time no see. How you
I'm
been?
good. How are you guys?
Yeah, all good, thank you. All good.
You know what? I've been good. I'm just like, I just been busy with uni stuff. I've come back for second year and it's kind of been dragging a bit. But I've got some free time, so I thought I'd call in and see and like preview the Frankfurt game tomorrow.
Brilliant. So how are you feeling coming into this game? Because last week we went out to Frankfurt. We played pretty well, but coming away with a 0-0 draw. When you take that into account and the way we played out there with the 3-4-3 system, how do you feel this game's going to go this weekend, tomorrow night?
I think we'll do better in front of our own crowd. I think that'll be a plus for us, especially given sort of how poor our away record is in Europe. I think our home advantage should kind of press through. I'm hoping for a victory tomorrow. I think we will get it. Obviously, a lot's been made of us being able to grind out results without particularly playing at sort of the level that we were towards the back end of last season, when we were getting those 3, 4, 5 wins pretty much every other week. So it's good to see our ability to, because a lot's been said, like obviously the mold of trophy winners and champions is being able to get the result even when you're not playing at your best. But I do want to see us eventually play at our best. We've played it in patches, for one half against Leicester, for an entire game against Southampton. And aside from that, our best form hasn't particularly come through in terms of our clinical sort of finishing. It seems like the team's been at about 75% and just not been able to click into 4th and 5th gear, which is a little bit frustrating. But obviously, packed schedule, we've got to keep our momentum, because it's 1 loss in, or it's 2 losses out of in the entire season, and we're midway through October, which isn't a bad record. So I think home advantage will press tomorrow and we will win, but I just want to see us hit that next level that we've been missing this season.
How do we do that? How do we do that, Mikey? How do we hit that next level?
I'm not Conte, so I'm not the man to decide that.
If you were Conte, come on.
I mean, I think obviously a lot of fans have been saying 3-5-2, 3-5-2, and while I do think that is our eventual model, I do think that with Kulu coming back, he has to start, because he's basically he was our creative hub, with Harry Kane sort of not. Harry Kane is still a creator, but he's not getting the assists. Kulu seems to be getting most of our assists. Every time I look on the BBC Sport website, it shows assists Kulusevski. So it'll be good to have him. It'll be good to have him back. I'm not sure if he'll start the game. I think he might start from the bench, but I think the 3-5-2 system, once Bissouma becomes tactically astute under Conte, is something that we can look forwards to. But with Kulusevski back, you can't really not start him. So that's you have to start all three of our front three, but then we keep getting overrun in midfield with only Højbjerg and Bentancur there. So it's like you have to balance up which one you need the most. So, and obviously keep Emerson as far away from the starting lineup as possible. That's also another road to victory, in my opinion. But
yeah, I was going to ask you about that. I was going to ask you about that because obviously Sessegnon and Doherty played last week. A lot of praise coming in for those two performances. Would you stick with the same, or would you bring a Perisic or an Emerson in, or even a Spence? I mean, what would you do with Spence?
I would bring Spence in because I think I just want to see. I'm not out here saying he should start every game. I just want to see him get 90 minutes under his belt to show what he can do. I get that he's like Conte's calling him not ready and all of this, but if I'm in that hot seat, I'd give him even just one half of football. He's made a cameo appearance against Forest, and that was it. He hasn't played any minutes aside from that, and so even like a half, play Emerson for the first half and bring on like Spence for the second. I think it's clear that Doherty will start the Premier League game against Everton this weekend, so I don't think he'll play. So I would give Spence just the chance to show what he can do, and if he's not up to it yet, then fair play. But obviously Conte's looking at him in training. We're obviously not seeing the full side of things, but I'd give Spence
But in such a big, important game, because we have to win this game. It's pretty much a must-win tomorrow night.
That's why I'd start Emerson as badly as I want to say it, because we need Doherty for the Premier League games. I'd have to say start Emerson, but I still think when Emerson returns, I still think he shouldn't be our starting right back. I still think that should be, for now at least, Matt Doherty before transitioning into Jed Spence, and then perhaps selling one of the, because we can't have three right backs battling out for the same position. I mean, it's just not. And he's tried Perisic and Kulusevski at right wing back at times as well. So it's like Conte's trying everything to find a solution there. So I'd probably start Perisic and Emerson tomorrow, to be honest.
How for you? Is it a must-win tomorrow? Is a draw? How bad of a result is a draw in the context?
Oh no, it's a must-win. It's a must-win just to keep pace with Sporting, because if we win this and then if we win this game and then win a game over Sporting, regardless of what Marseille do, we'll be in first place. So both of these are a must-win. The Marseille game in France, I've heard from many a fan that Marseille is one of the most intimidating atmospheres to go to in the whole of Europe. Like, their fans do create an amazing atmosphere down in Marseille. So it's going to be
do, but half the stadium will be shut because of their crowd problems and stuff.
Oh yeah, of course I've heard about the riots in France and stuff, the crowd problems that they've had. So I mean, still, it's, half the Marseille fans are still intimidating, I guess. So yeah, I do think that these two Champions League games, specifically Frankfurt and Sporting, two huge must-win games, because we've drawn and lost on the road and we've won our only home game. So obviously with Richarlison getting his double. So I think if we win all three of our home games and try and get like a win or even a draw in Marseille, I think that should put us very nicely, regardless of, because at the end of the day, the draw, obviously getting an easier draw with the first place finish, I believe is a little bit of a pro, but it's just about qualifying for the knockouts in the first place. First or second doesn't matter. Just as long as you get into that round of 16, you can say, at least we qualify for the knockouts. We don't dump out into the Europa League, which would be, we put up such a fuss about qualifying for the Champions League over Arsenal just to end up in the same competition as them. That would be, that would be extremely embarrassing. So I think qualification out of this group is we were handed I won't say a kind draw, but we weren't put up with one of the European heavyweights, and we're still kind of fighting for survival. I dread to think what would have happened if we had like a PSG, if we were in like Group C with like Inter, Barca, Bayern. So, I just hope for a win tomorrow, as we do with every game, but for a good performance win as well.
What's your score prediction?
I've given up trying to predict Spurs games, because I predict 3-0 and we go win 1-0, and I predict a 2-1 for the Leicester game and we win 6-2.
There's no shame in getting it wrong, Mike. There's no shame in getting it wrong.
No, but for someone who's always right, it tarnishes my reputation a bit, I'll say I'll say it. I'll say I'll go for a 2-1. And if I had to pick my scorers, I'd pick. It depends. If Kulusevski starts, I'd back him to score. But if he doesn't, I'd back Richarlison again and Son.
All right. Big up, Mikey. Thanks for coming on today.
Nice one, Mikey.
And we'll see you next time.
See you whenever, guys. Bye.
Cheer.
Got some snippets here from Ali Gold talking about the training sessions and everyone being fit. He says there was positive injury news for Antonio Conte this Tuesday and what appeared to be a fully fit Tottenham squad ahead of the Champions League game against Frankfurt. He said Dejan Kulusevski seemed to be playing a full part in training, sliding into challenges even after his hamstring problems. And Lucas Moura was doing similar following his tendon inflammation issues. Tanganga was also back in action following the knock that has kept him out in recent weeks. And he says those who are worried about Harry Kane hobbling off after in the game against Brighton after he received a kick in the back of his leg, we would be pleased to see him fully involved on the training pitch as well. Elsewhere, there appeared to be no fresh injuries with every first team player present and accounted for. So seems as though when he talks about Kulusevski, he seems to be flying all over the pitch. So that's very positive, and very positive that we do have a clean bill of health going into this game. It's very important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's great to alleviate the fears of Harry Kane as well, because I was very worried seeing Harry Kane hobble off the pitch against Brighton last week. So happy days that we're a clean bill of health, even the likes of Japet Tanganga back in the squad. So at this stage of the season, that's exactly what you need. You can't be having injuries, and with the squad, with the shape of the squad, we saw how frail we can be if we don't have any attacking options off the bench. So it's great that they're back in team training, and we'll see what Antonio decides to go with tomorrow. Is there anyone else to bring on? Anything else you want to talk about?
Not particularly. Not specifically.
Well, either way, there'll be plenty of content coming your way today. Antonio's press conference will be with you fairly soon. The training footage will be with you fairly soon. And predicted lineup will be with you later as well. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.